Welcome back to Farang Footprints, where real stories unfold far away from home, under foreign skies, in places where a holiday often feels like freedom. Today's story is told by Sören, a 23-year-old from Sweden, who did not come to Thailand expecting love. He came to escape the ordinary. He had curiosity. He had time. He had no idea how fragile life could be when you least expect it. What began as sightseeing slowly became adventure. What felt like fun quietly became connection. Street food filled the evenings. Night markets stretched the nights. Laughter was exchanged easily. Moments felt like proof that life could surprise you. Until it did not. On a warm Thai evening, far from his quiet life in Sweden, Sören met Siri, a woman who did not just smile politely, who was not impressed by easy charm, and who asked questions he was not ready to answer. This is not just a story about love at first sight. It is a story about risk, about fragility, about the moments when life reminds you that choices carry consequences. It is about care that does not rescue, but refuses to leave when everything is broken. And it is about the quiet truth that sometimes the most important decision in life is simply to be present when the world shifts beneath your feet. This is Sören's story, told in his own words.
För holiday. Just a week away from Stockholm. From the routine of school, the quiet pressure of expectations, the familiar cold that made life feel predictable. I did not come looking for adventure. I did not come looking for love. I just wanted a break. The plane landed late in the afternoon. The humid air hit me as I stepped out, carrying the scent of jasmine and the faint tang of the ocean. My backpack felt heavy, but for the first time in months, my chest felt lighter. The taxi wound through streets crowded with scooters, tuk-tuks, and pedestrians who seemed to glide through the chaos with practiced ease. Neon signs flickered above shops, selling everything from fried insects to fake designer sunglasses. The city smelled of spices, street food, and a hint of exhaust. I arrived at my small guest house just as the sun began to dip behind palm trees. The balcony overlooked a quiet street lined with tiny bars and shops. I dropped my bag, peeled off my shirt, and let the heat and humidity wrap around me like a welcome I had not known I needed. That evening, I wandered down to the night market. The air was thick with the smells of grilled meats, sweet mango, and coconut. Stalls crowded the narrow lanes, every inch covered with trinkets, clothes, and souvenirs. I had no plan, just a curiosity to see what the night would hold. Then I saw her. Siri. She was laughing at a small stall selling handmade bracelets. Her hair caught the neon lights in a way that made it glow. She was not looking at me. She was not aware that I was there. And yet, my chest tightened. I did not approach at first. I just watched. The market noise faded. The chatter, the music, the sizzling woks. It all became background to her laughter. I took a step closer, then stopped. I told myself to calm down. She is just someone at a market. You are on holiday. But then she turned, looked at a bracelet, smiled at the vendor, and my heart sank a little. I wanted to talk to her, but I did not know how. What do you say to someone you do not know, who is not expecting you? A few minutes passed. I wandered toward a stall selling coconut pancakes, trying to distract myself. And then it happened. We bumped into each other near a coconut stand. A simple hello, a smile. Hey, I said. My voice sounded different than I expected. Not confident, not smooth, just awkward. Hi, she replied, tilting her head, a little amused. Her smile made me forget all the clever lines I thought I had. We walked a little together, casually, talking about nothing important. The heat, the smells, the crazy crowd around us. I learned her name, Siri. She asked where I was from. I said Sweden. She asked what brought me here. I said a holiday. She nodded, smiling, and I realized that we were talking in circles, but it did not matter. At some point, we stopped for mango sticky rice. I bought one. She bought one. We sat on a low wall, laughing as the sticky rice dripped onto our fingers. He showed me how to eat it without making a mess. I failed. She laughed harder. By the time the market started closing, I knew I wanted to see her again. Not because I had a plan, not because I thought I would fall in love immediately, but because the day had felt different with her, easier, lighter, somehow full of possibility. We exchanged numbers. I knew it was bold. I did not care. The walk back to my guest house was quiet. I kept replaying her laughter in my head, her eyes, the way they caught the light, her voice, soft, teasing, alive. I told myself it was just a holiday crush, nothing serious, and yet I could not stop thinking about her. The next morning, I woke up early, too excited to sleep. I thought about the day ahead, about wandering the streets, about tasting new food, about the possibility of running into her again. Thailand had been ordinary, predictable, even until this. Now it felt alive, dangerous, thrilling. I did not know then what the next few days would bring. I did not know that scooters, waterfalls, and night markets would lead to moments that would change everything. But for the first time in a long time, I wanted to find out. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of birds and the faint hum of scooters on the street below. The sun was already spilling gold across the balcony. Thailand had a way of making mornings feel heavy with warmth, but light with possibility. I thought about the day ahead, about wandering aimlessly again, about tasting new food, and I thought about Siri. I did not know if we would see each other again, but the hope, quiet, almost fragile, was there. It followed me down the stairs and into the street, where the air smelled of wet earth and coconut trees, swaying in the gentle breeze. And then she appeared. "Good morning," she said, a hint of sleep still in her eyes, hair tousled, but glowing in the early light. I felt a jolt in my chest. I did not understand, like a small shock of recognition. It was strange and comforting and thrilling all at once. We decided to grab breakfast together at a small cafe nearby, the kind of place where the tables are rickety, the coffee strong, and the locals glance at tourists with curiosity and amusement. We sat outside, the air hot but pleasant, a faint smell of flowers from a nearby stall mingling with the coffee. "Where to today?" she asked, stirring her coffee. I shrugged. I thought maybe the waterfalls. I read about a couple hidden inland. No plan, just see where the day takes us. She smiled. "Sounds perfect." We rented scooters, helmets on. I double-checked mine, then hers. The road wound through hills, coconut plantations, small wooden houses, and tiny villages that felt like they had existed untouched for decades. The wind hit us as we drove, salty and sweet and earthy all at once. Siri laughed when a bird swooped close to the road. I laughed too, though nervously, because the scooter wobbled over a small pothole. "This is nothing," she shouted, grinning. I nodded, trying to keep my cool. But inside, I was thinking, what if something went wrong? And immediately chastising myself. Stop thinking like that. Just enjoy it. At the waterfall, we slipped on the rocks and splashed water at each other. My shirt stuck to my back, my sandals full of sand. Siri did not care. She climbed higher, shouting for me to follow. I did, and I fell once, laughing at myself while she helped me up. I watched her face, her joy, the way her hair caught the sunlight. It was intoxicating. I realized that the trip had already become about more than sightseeing. It was about her, about us, about the connection that had quietly begun. After the waterfall, we wandered along a quiet beach. The sand was warm beneath our feet, the waves gentle against our ankles. We tried to skip stones, failed repeatedly, and laughed until our sides hurt. I caught glimpses of her watching me, playful and teasing, and I wanted to memorize every detail. Lunch was at a small stall near the shore. We shared a plate of grilled fish and rice, dipping bites into spicy sauces, laughing when we got too much on our fingers. I asked her about her life back home. She asked me the same. The conversation felt effortless, like we were finishing each other's thoughts without trying. The afternoon was slow, lazy. We stopped for fresh coconut water, drank straight from the shell. We sat on rocks by the water, talking about dreams we rarely shared with anyone else. Siri told me about her love for photography, showing me shots on her phone of previous travels. I watched her fingers swipe, the light in her eyes when she captured something beautiful. By evening, we returned to the night market. Lanterns swayed in the breeze, the smell of fried noodles and grilled meats filling the air. Music floated from small bars, blending with laughter and conversations in a way that felt almost magical. We walked slowly, stopping to look at stalls. She picked up a small bracelet, then a necklace. I suggested she try one for me. She laughed, teasing me about my taste. The casual touches, her hand brushing mine, a nudge as we laughed, felt electric. We shared snacks again, mango sticky rice, fried bananas. Her hands touched mine as we reached for the same piece. I did not pull away, neither did she, and that quiet moment felt bigger than anything I had expected from a simple holiday. By the time the market started to close, I knew I did not want the day to end. Not yet, not this week, not with her. We exchanged a few messages for the next day, planning another outing. I did not say much, but my chest ached in a way I did not recognize. Hope, maybe, or something more. That night, back in my room, I replayed the day over and over. Her laugh, the way her eyes lit up in the sunlight, her teasing, playful energy. I tried to convince myself it was just a crush, but I knew it was not. Thailand had been ordinary before, but with her, everything felt brighter, louder, and yet peaceful in a way I had not expected. I could not wait for tomorrow. The morning sun hit my balcony like a promise. I was nervous, in a way that felt good, the kind of nervous that makes your stomach twist and your heart beat faster. Today, we were going to explore the hidden beaches on the other side of the island. Siri was waiting downstairs, already smiling when I stepped outside. "Ready?" she asked, helmet in hand. "Ready," I said, though my hands were slightly trembling as I fastened mine. We mounted the scooters, the engines humming beneath us. The wind hit our faces immediately, warm and salty, carrying the scent of the ocean and the jungle. The road twisted and turned through hills dotted with coconut palms and small wooden houses. Motorbikes whizzed past, tuk-tuks honked, children waved from the roadside. Every detail felt sharper, brighter. Siri laughed when my scooter wobbled over a small pothole. "Careful," she shouted, teasing. "I am careful," I called back, laughing too, though my heart was already beating fast. We stopped along the way, a tiny stall selling fresh coconuts. I bought two. She twisted the top off hers with a practiced hand, handed it to me, and I sipped slowly. The sweetness was perfect. The cold water hit my tongue like relief. We sat on the curb, legs dangling over the edge, talking about dreams, about home, about everything and nothing. We made it to the hidden beach by noon. Soft, white sand stretched before us. The turquoise water lapped gently at the shore. Palm shadows danced across the sand, and the sun reflected off the waves like scattered diamonds. We tried to skip stones. She laughed at my technique. I laughed at hers. Every throw ended in a splash, but neither of us cared. I watched her face, her energy, the way she tilted her head when she laughed, and I felt something I did not expect. A quiet certainty that I wanted to be here, with her, right now. We explored tide pools, picking up shells, dipping our toes in the water. Siri pointed out small crabs scuttling between rocks. I reached down to touch one, pretending to be brave, and she squealed at my exaggerated caution. We fell into laughter again, the kind that makes your stomach ache and your cheeks hurt. By late afternoon, we mounted the scooters again. We rode along a cliffside road overlooking the ocean, the wind whipping past us, the sun lowering in the sky. I held on to the handles tightly. She held on to me, laughing at my careful grip. We stopped at another small waterfall on the way back. It was not crowded, just the two of us and the sound of rushing water. We splashed each other, slipped on wet rocks, and my shirt stuck to my back. She pushed me playfully to the shallow pool. I retaliated, and we ended up soaked and laughing uncontrollably. The sun began to set. The light turned golden, reflecting off the water, painting the jungle leaves in fiery orange. I felt a strange sense of urgency, a fear that this moment might end too soon. I did not want the day to end. I did not want to stop being with her. We returned to the night market after dark. Lanterns swayed in the breeze. The smell of grilled meats and spices thickened the air. We wandered slowly, sharing fried snacks, our hands brushing often. I felt my chest tighten every time our fingers touched. At one point, I looked at her and realized how natural it felt to be beside her, not forcing conversation, not trying to impress, just two people laughing, moving, existing together. As we left the market, I suggested we take one last ride along the quiet coastal road. She agreed with a grin, climbing onto the scooter behind me. I tightened my grip on the handlebars. The road was empty, the sea on one side, cliffs on the other. The wind was stronger here, cooler, carrying salt and night. Siri held on tight, and I felt her breath on my neck. I wanted this moment to stretch forever. I did not know then what was coming. I did not know that a single wrong turn, a small miscalculation, would turn a perfect holiday into a moment that would test everything. I just wanted to hold on to her, to laugh one more time, to feel this freedom a little longer. And in that golden, warm, impossible evening, I had no idea that life was about to demand more courage than I had ever needed before. I felt safe, alive, like the world had shrunk to just the two of us, the wind and the sound of the ocean. I took a turn a little too fast. The road was slippery from an earlier shower. My stomach twisted. I tried to correct, but the scooter wobbled. The next seconds happened too quickly to process. We slid. The asphalt tore at my legs. Siri was thrown from the bike, hitting her head hard against the ground. Time slowed. I felt pain shoot through my leg. My hands were scraped, blood warm and sticky. And there she was, still, silent, her head at a strange angle. People ran over. I could not move fast enough. I could not think. All I knew was panic, fear, and the overwhelming need to make sure she was alive. Paramedics arrived. They lifted her onto a stretcher. I could only follow, my leg throbbing, my arm scratched, my heart breaking. "Is she going to be okay?" I asked, voice cracking. The medic looked at me but said nothing. I realized then how little control I had over life in this moment. Siri was rushed to the hospital. I stayed with her as long as I could, holding her hand briefly, whispering her name. Then I had to leave. I booked the earliest flight back home, my mind racing with panic. Every minute away felt like an eternity. I could not stop thinking about her breathing under the monitors, about the possibility that I might not see her again. 4 days later, I was back. My heart pounded as I walked into the hospital, and then I saw her. Her eyes opened slowly. She blinked, confused, but alive. I almost collapsed in relief. "You are awake," I whispered, my voice breaking. She tried to smile. Her head was bandaged, her body fragile. But she was there. The next days were slow, painful, filled with frustration and small victories. I helped her eat. I helped her move. I watched her struggle, encouraged her, whispered jokes to make her laugh. Each day, progress was small but tangible. Every time she managed to take a few steps alone, my chest filled with relief. Every time she laughed, even faintly, I felt alive again. I stayed with her, every night, every moment I could. She did not have to ask. I did not want to leave. Her scar would remain, a reminder of that day, but I did not care. I just wanted her alive, whole, and knowing that she was not alone. Thailand had been ordinary before, but after that accident, it became a place where love was fragile, terrifying, and absolutely worth holding on to. I promised myself then, quietly, without saying it out loud, I would stay. I would be here. I would not leave. No matter what. The morning sunlight felt warmer than usual as I entered the room. Siri was sitting up in bed, propped against a stack of pillows. Her headband had been removed. A scar at the back of her head was visible, pale but pronounced. She caught my eye and smiled, a little shy, a little triumphant. "We're up early," I said, leaning against the doorframe. She shrugged. "Could not sleep. Wanted to practice walking a little more." I felt my chest tighten, not with fear this time, but with pride. The recovery had been long and slow. There were days filled with frustration, pain, and quiet tears, but there were also moments of laughter, small victories, and tiny celebrations. Today felt like the beginning of something new. I helped her out of bed, steadying her as she took tentative steps across the room. Each movement was deliberate, careful, but confident. We both laughed when she nearly stumbled on the edge of the rug. "Hey, I am fine," she insisted. "I know," I said. "But I enjoy making sure you stay that way." Breakfast was a quiet affair, the aroma of toast and coffee filling the small hospital room. We ate slowly, savoring the flavors, enjoying the comfort of normalcy. Afterward, we walked through the hospital garden. The air was heavy with tropical flowers, and the sun filtered through the trees in golden streams. Siri paused often, stretching her legs, catching her breath, but her eyes shone with determination. Every step she took felt like a declaration. I am still me. I am still alive. We talked about the trip we had taken together, the waterfalls, the hidden beaches, the night markets, all the ordinary things that had suddenly become extraordinary when experienced together. She laughed as she recalled the coconut water mishap, and I could not help but laugh too. Even amidst the shadow of the accident, those memories were ours. By the afternoon, the doctors agreed she could go home in a few days. I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The hospital had been safe, but it was not home. The thought of caring for her fully, seeing her move freely, feeling the weight of responsibility, made my stomach twist. We planned the journey back together. Scooter rides were still out of the question. Instead, we arranged for a small car, a slow drive through the streets that had once seemed familiar, now colored with the tension of recent events. The ride was quiet at first. Her leaned against me, hand in mine, silent. I did not rush the moment. I did not speak. I just felt her presence, steady and real, and it was enough. Once home, the recovery continued. I prepared meals, helped with exercises, and made sure she never overexerted herself. The routine was slow, but it brought us closer. I learned the small things about her. The way she hums when focused, how she prefers her coffee, how she folds the edges of a napkin just so. I found myself memorizing details I had not noticed before, realizing that love was not only about the big gestures. Theory was about noticing the small ones. The scar on her head remained a constant reminder of what had happened, but it no longer represented fear. It represented resilience. It represented survival. And above all, it represented the bond between us, forged in chaos and strengthened by care. Evenings became our time. We would sit together, sometimes reading, sometimes talking, sometimes doing nothing at all. The air was filled with the quiet rhythm of recovery. Footsteps, laughter, soft music, shared silences. One night, I watched her sleep and whispered, "We made it. We really made it." Her hand twitched in mine, a small squeeze that felt like agreement. Slowly, life began to feel normal again. We took short walks along quiet streets, tested small scooters with helmets this time, and returned to the night markets, but only for light strolls, avoiding crowds. We learned to laugh again without fear, to move forward without hesitation. Every shared meal, every careful step, every quiet evening reminded me why I had stayed. It was not just duty. It was not just love. It was the choice to be present, to participate in life fully, even when the stakes had been frighteningly high. And as the days passed, I realized something else. Siri was my home. Not a building or a place, but a presence, a heartbeat, a constant. No scar, no accident, no fear could take that away. Thailand had started as a simple holiday. It had become chaos, pain, and fear. But now, it was also a place of new beginnings, of hope, and of love that had been tested and proven strong. I stayed by her side, every day, every moment, because she was worth it, because she was everything I wanted to protect, because sometimes the bravest choice is simply to remain. Nanask's not going anywhere.
Sören came to Thailand for a simple holiday. He did not expect to meet Siri. He did not expect to fall in love so quickly. He certainly did not expect an accident to test everything he thought he knew about life, fear, and commitment. The crash was terrifying. The waiting, the uncertainty, the hospital corridors, it all felt endless. And yet, in those moments, Sören realized what mattered most. It was not the beaches, the waterfalls, or the night markets. It was not even the adventure. It was her life, her courage, her presence. When she woke from the coma, he promised himself he would not leave. He stayed by her side through the slow recovery, through frustration, pain, and tiny victories. He stayed because love is not just about joy. It is about being there when the world feels broken. Siri healed, slowly, carefully, with scars that would remain only as a testament to survival. And as she regained strength, their bond grew stronger. The accident did not destroy them. Cheru showed what they were willing to fight for. Thailand had started as a holiday escape. It became a place where love, patience, and courage met, a place that reminded them life is fragile, but moments of presence, care, and commitment are what make it whole. Sören stayed, not because it was easy, not because it was safe, but because it was real. For Sören and Siri, that was enough. For those who wish to share their thoughts, reflections, or simply say hello, FarangFootprints@gmail.com. Farang Footprints reminds us once again, love is not only about timing or perfection. It is about staying, about choosing presence when chaos knocks at the door, and about building life together even after the world has already tested you.